What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, talking today about the Xbox One, because surprisingly, it looks like one of the main people behind it, Mike Ibarra, has decided to just randomly freak out and start attacking reviewers on Twitter, acting like people who talk about games for a living are secretly super evil, or hate Xbox, or maybe hate video games. And I have to say that this is utterly hilarious. Mike Ibarra is somebody who's really high up at Microsoft. This is not just some random bottom-level programmer. This dude is in charge of a lot of multi-million-dollar deals, including one going on right now with Anthem. Xbox actually has some exclusive advertising deals where basically, if you're talking about Anthem, you have to mention Microsoft. So because of it, obviously, Microsoft wants to make sure that they sell a ton of copies on their console. That's kind of the magic, is they get their money back if they manage to make it. But here's the thing, right now, reviews are beginning to trickle out for Anthem. If you have the EA Access or Origin Access, you've been able to play the game for about a week, and here's the thing, it's not very good. I'll be honest, I've been playing it myself, and it's a very clunky mess. I'm trying to have my review ready by either Thursday or Friday, and what's funny is, I'm actually playing it on Xbox. You can see that my controller's on right now. I'm actually currently working on the review, just stopped to film this video, and the game has some serious issues. When you're just flying around as Iron Man and getting into fights or just doing some random little missions, it is enjoyable. It has some very, very sharp controls, but the story and a lot of stuff about it is very, very strangely bad. Like, just as a random example, if you're actually on a mission and you want to go back to town to try and change out your gear, it takes about 7 minutes to go to town and then go back to the map. 7 minutes to try and change your gun. That is unforgivably awful. Well, for some reason, it seems like Mike Ibarra has decided to become offended on behalf of these reviews. He's actually trying to call them out and saying that these reviewers are whining because the game is bad. Let me tell you, Mike, being a reviewer is a very fun job. It's something I enjoy a lot, but part of it is that it really comes down to one main skill. You need to be able to remove yourself. You need to try and take your biases out of the situation and just look at every game critically and clearly, seeing what works, what doesn't, and really celebrate the great aspects of it. Being a reviewer is a fantastic job, obviously, but part of it is just a matter of looking at every game with a blank slate. Your tweets really seem to imply the fact that we're somehow these evil geniuses, where people who are trying to sit down and destroy your game. Well, let me tell you, Mike, that ain't happening. If I give a really low score to Anthem, it's not because I hate EA, although I really do dislike them. It just comes down to the fact that this game is not great. It's just not good, and there's no grand conspiracy behind that. A bad game is just a bad game. What's really peculiar about this, though, is that Mike didn't shut up after he said this. As dumb as that statement is, and as much as he's being roasted for it, he's just doubling and tripling down, acting like reviewers can't be trusted, that you shouldn't watch reviews whatsoever, and is instead saying you should watch streamers instead of reviewers. Now, I find this a little bit weird in particular because, well, Microsoft is known to pay streamers. They do a lot of sponsored content where they'll actually approach some giant personality and basically say, we'll pay you $10,000 to play our game for the next 72 hours. Make it where everything you stream is our content. It's a good way to get our advertising out there, and honestly, they can pay people not to badmouth their project. You can't necessarily buy a reviewer. You can buy a streamer, at least for a short period of time, but reviewers, I mean, a good reviewer can just beat a game, look at it, understand what really functions and what's broken, and then move on. This is so weird, and it really kind of shows the fact that the people over at Xbox are getting really, really strangely angry because of the negative reviews. Over the course of last year, there have been a lot of Xbox exclusives that haven't exactly gotten giant rave scores on Metacritic. I mean, look at something like Crackdown, which is getting absolutely bombed, or something like State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves. Many of these projects over time will be improved, but at launch, when they give out those review codes, it's an abysmal mess. I think that Microsoft wishes that they were getting scores like Sony was getting. Stuff like Spider-Man, this game is not only selling crazy numbers, it's getting talked about, it's getting a lot of positive buzz, and really, it's getting some extremely high review scores, which ends up making it where it moves units more long-term. People buy it longer because those reviews really manage to be this positive long-term benefit. Microsoft doesn't have that. Microsoft doesn't really have anything to lean on because their games, while they aren't necessarily the most awful thing on the planet, they're not super good. They're having some trouble when it comes to just getting working, functioning games off the ground. I guess what really kind of shocks me most about this is that we've never seen somebody this rich and this powerful really attacking games reviewers. This is a really weird move, and it seems like they're just trying to stir up the flames. They're just trying to act like you can't trust gaming websites or you can't trust YouTubers, and I don't think that's a good move. I have my issues with websites like Polygon and Kotaku and IGN, but I can put that aside and realize that some of their reporting is extremely good. Some of the leaks that come out of Kotaku and stuff are so superbly written. They deserve the awards they win. Trying to act like every single thing they touch is just complete trash, that wouldn't be honest. You need to try and look at everything with the good and the bad, the same way a reviewer does. Mike is obviously very, very biased here. He is paid probably $20 or $30 million a year to make sure that Microsoft games sell. That is completely his job, is to make sure you want to buy their products. So in this case, it seems like his strategy is just shifted from maybe I'll talk good about my games to instead I'll talk bad about those bad-mouthing our games. Mike, don't do this. Trust me, you don't want to start this. If anything, you're just going to make it where more reviewers don't want to cover your stuff. If you know that, hey, every time you talk about an Xbox game, the Xbox president might come up and try and punch you in the kneecaps, it's not exactly going to be as pleasurable of an experience. I've noticed that over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've started to see a lot of the top Xbox accounts, the main presidents, the CEOs, the people behind Xbox, have started trying to really highlight the fans instead. They find the little teeny tiny Xbox YouTubers and they end up retweeting or talking to them, and I think that that is a good strategy. It's something that seems a little bit weird on the surface, but simultaneously, that is not a bad tactic. If you find the one super good review of your game, like if you find the one 10 out of 10 review for Crackdown 3, retweet that, spread it. You need positivity. That's obviously part of your job. But then trying to find the one guy who gave your game a 3 out of 10 and being like, hey, everybody, look at that jerk. That's not going to work in your favor, bud. Trust me, if anything, that's going to make you look like some weird, out-of-touch weirdos. And I just still am so... I gotta laugh at it. Honestly, it's just so weird that Mike Ibarra's office is probably a humongous corner office with a great view of the entire city, and he just sits up there being like, man, I am so freaking rich. I am the master of Xbox. And then someone tweets, Anthem isn't very good. And he's like, how dare you? Look, Mike, that's not a normal thing to do. Microsoft is growing. Xbox as a brand is growing. You guys are really set and prepared to try and unleash this next console, and I have high hopes for what your future projects could be. I fully think that Gears of War 5 has the potential to be one of my favorite games of the year, just because I love Gears, and this new sequel looks like it's going to be so tremendously different in all the ways I like. But something that isn't going to be winning you any fans is if suddenly you start acting like everybody sucks if they don't automatically love Xbox. Try and think long term. Try and realize that not everybody that's currently a fan is a future fan. Not everybody is going to like the fact that you're trying to spread conspiracy theories just because people don't automatically love how broken Anthem is. But what do you guys think? Have you seen this stuff, and do you think that it's something that's a little bit odd? Is it super strange to see these multi-millionaires trying to act like cool kids and instead be like, hey bro, I'm calling you out on the schoolyard? Because to me, it's something that just seems really out of touch and frankly, downright negative. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Alright, I seriously need to try and finish this Anthem review. It's probably going to be very, very big and very, very in-depth, just because I do like BioWare, and this project is extremely bad. So expect that review up either Thursday morning or Friday morning, just depending on when I can actually finish this last incredibly annoying mission. Thanks so much for watching. You guys rock. Bye! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.